G'day, guys, and welcome to the Centre Bounce, where today we'll be talking about the Carlton Blues losing to the Melbourne Demons. Stay tuned. I always find myself excited about a Carlton loss. It is what it is. You can't say Blues without lose. I know I've used that before, but I still feel good about it, and especially when my boy Big Maxi absolutely goes bananas, Big J.
Yeah, it's a bit unfortunate that he did go so big because I know we've been doing a few rate my teams in Supercoach, and as much as I love the fans, like hands up, I love everyone that watches our channel. It is a competition, right? So if a few of you are picking someone else or decided to fade him and maybe pick Tristan Cherry over a Max Gawn that just popped out 185 on a nothing day of 74% game time, like get in my team, Big Max.
Exactly, 100%. That's why I said it in that live stream. I'm just like, that's one less person for me to compete with. So it's guys, we've been raving all preseason long. There is value to be found, and there is no need to go outside of the box when it comes to these ruckmen. Just do set and forget. And my word, people are very quick to forget how good Max Gawn is. And I think today he's reminded everyone why you really need to seriously consider starting him. And Melbourne also, I think, did a good job reminding everyone that, yes, there's a bit of off-field shit going on at the club, but on-field, they are still very strong. They got the job done, beating Carlton on their home deck at Princes Park. Melbourne kicked 101 to Carlton's 63, and it was a very strong performance. What I found most different about Melbourne in today's game was their press when it comes to creating forward half turnovers. I thought very often last year and in the year before, they have such a strong backline that they would launch a lot of their scores from back there. But you can see this time around that they've identified their forward line isn't amazing outside of Van Rooyen, who was amazing himself. But they just thought, you know what? Why not give our forward line more of a chance by creating front half turnovers and having a guy like Christian Salem around the ball as well, who's known for his good kicking. They've added Billings. So they've now got some good kicks inside 50, causing turnovers. This is a different system to the Melbourne Demons that we've seen in the last 2 years, and it looked good, Big J.
Yeah, I think as well with their kind of moving guys like Christian Petracca to the forward line, they've definitely felt the need for a lot more power in the position. It's something that, a few years ago when they won their grand final, they had guys like Ben Brown who just kind of had that marking ability. But since then, they haven't really had that. So they've kind of had to play a bit smaller, a lot more running and a lot more powerful through there. And I think kind of the AFL in general has definitely moved towards doing that. So keeping up with the times, like you say, and it's definitely working out for them. There's a lot of people you've got to mark and stop. And then when you do, they're plethora of plethora is a big word. They're plethora of small and medium forwards that can just run. They're hard to beat.
They are. And Carlton found it really hard to transition the ball out of the back line to feed it into their forward line. And very often when they did, it was marked. It was marked by Harry. It was marked by Charlie. But the thing is, their woes in front of the big sticks continue, and they don't fully capitalize on all of their opportunities. Thankfully, it's just a practice game in the preseason. Hopefully they can get those rusty, crappy kicks out of their system now so that come season proper, that's it. They've got no more practice games. Their next game is round 0, which counts for premiership points. So if you're a Carlton fan, hopefully come round 0 when they go up to Brisbane to play Brisbane over there at the Gabatoir, the Twin Towers can fire. Because apart from being in front of the big sticks, I liked, especially Harry Mackay. I liked Harry Mackay's game a lot. He does cop some flack here and then, but he played a bit more in the ruck today, and I was really impressed. I thought it was a good idea, pinch hitting with DeConning, and he just was able to take the ball out of the air very cleanly. He was a good mark. I thought he was definitely better than Curnow today, and I normally am a big fan of Charlie Curnow more so than Harry Mackay, but I must admit Mackay looked great today.
There's a big stat that had been floating around in the preseason about Carlton and their goal kickers, right? You've got the first two. You've got Harry Mackay and Curnow. they're fine to kick 50 and 60 each if they want to. But the next best player, I think, since like 2018 had only kicked 30 in a year. And you'll find that games like today, both of them scored 3 goals each, and they just couldn't get it over the line. Like they legitimately both scored 3, and then you look at the rest, and they've got 4 other goal scorers. Like it's not enough. Obviously, Motlop was injured early. I think he did his toe, and definitely that had a bit of an effect on it. But you've got midfielders there, you've got other forwards, and no one's kicking goals apart from the big two. And it reminds me, I'll go back to North Melbourne, it reminds me a bit of when it used to just be kick to Ben Brown in the forward line. Right now at Carlton, it's just kick to the big two, and they'll kick a few, but no one else will get involved and, really set them back. You look at Melbourne's side, and yes, they've got Sparrow who kicked 3 and Max Gawn that kicked 2, but it's a lot more spread out. And that means that it's a lot harder for opposition defenders to be able to neutralise your team. And obviously Carlton that happened a bit to them today. Who's super relevant in Supercoach from us today, Joe?
Well, we've already spoken about the big man himself, so we don't have to talk about him anymore. I mean, look at the stats and see for yourself why this guy needs to be in your team, essentially. Another premium from the Melbourne Demons, Petracca. He's second most expensive or third most expensive player in the midfield, but he's not that high. He's all the way down here. Christian Petracca, 71% time on ground for 79 Supercoach, 23 disposals, 4 masters. He looked better than what this is showing, and the reason for that is he had 5 clangers to go with his name, only the 65% disposal efficiency, and that was one of the big reasons why Petracca previously wasn't a great Supercoach scorer and one that you could definitely get after his buy when he was in full swing. It seems he's still in preseason mode. He looks amazing to the eye. If anything, the clangers might scare people away from him, but that doesn't mean you should look away from the role that he played and how good he actually is. If you watch the game, you know this guy is threatening to go bananas. If you're looking to fade him, then you got to hope that he does have a few more of these clanger-heavy games where he will drop in price and then you can get him in sooner rather than almost fade him for the entire season. Because last year he really cleaned that up and he maintained a very steady price.
Yeah, it's either start him or hope he drops a lot in cash, which is a tricky thing. I mean, if he kind of evens out and let's say he goes and plays 80 to 90%, which I think is a normal game for him of playing time, he'd probably get up to about 100 points, right? So you can kind of get your 100 points out of him on an average game where he has 5 clangers. It's not too bad. So really comes down to the people. And the beautiful thing, similar to the game yesterday, both of these teams have round 0. So we get another look to what happens. If Petracca has another game like this, he is potentially probably losing like 30K, come round 3, when he has his end of round 2, really, when he has his first price drop. So you can kind of bet against that. But Petracca on a good day, Joe, it's a bit scary. One of my picks from last year that I wish I had picked, and it just hurt me all season.
100%.
Jack Billings did all right today.
That he did. He played quite a bit on the wing today, as well as half forward. So he really didn't have a lot of time on the ball, but he was definitely used a bit on the outside. As you can see, he got the 17 disposals, which isn't prolific by any means, but what was good about it was, most of the time he did hit a target. He went at 76% efficiency, only the 1 clanger, but he did get some bolstered score from kicking a goal himself, and he had some great entries inside 50. That's exactly what they brought him to do, to play that half-forward role. Their entries inside 50 have been atrocious the last couple of years, just simply bombing the ball in, and they didn't have the ball users to do it, make the most of their entries. They've been dominant for a long time, but they haven't been able to put it on the scoreboard. So they did a change. They put, as we mentioned before, they put Salem on the ball, who's been one of their best ball users, and they recruit Billings, who was also, and it still is, a very good kick inside 50. And now all of a sudden, they're actually hitting up targets on the lead. They took a lot of marks inside 50 today. I think Billings for his price is damn near as lock as you can get at this point. I think you get to look at him in round 0, which is great, but if he's not popping off and he's not being super prolific, not killing it, not even 20 disposals, and still has 91 points to his name, I think you cannot fade this guy at this point.
Yeah, it's a bit of a tricky one, isn't it? Like, as you say, you get that round 0, but a 91 might just end up being his average. And if he ends up being kind of not the top tier echelon of super coaches, the ones that super coach players, but the ones that are scoring those 100 plus, but ends up being those guys that are, averaging between 90 and, 75. That's exactly all we need from him. We don't need him to be a prolific ball winner. We just need him to make that money. And similar to a Harms and a few of these other players that a lot of us are banking on, if they can reach that, it's 1 up, 1 down straight for a premium like round 7. So it's very, very appealing. The early buy, yes, it hurts, but you could almost offload him like round 5, round 6, right?
Oh, he will make a lot of money very quickly, Billings, which is the really exciting thing, that there were a lot of times where he just simply didn't play, where he just simply disappeared, wasn't in the picture, and yet you look at him at 91 points, like he'll just bob up and do something here, something clean here. He'll be involved in the. So yeah, I think you need this guy. He'll definitely make his money. He's priced at 44. So for him to make 150K, he's got to go at 74 roughly. And I think he can do that with ease, absolute ease, to be honest, to go 74 average. So for that, I think you definitely need Jack Billings in your team.
Chuck him in there, Joe.
Chuck him in there.
Another Melbourne player. There's not many Carlton players, so maybe we'll touch on some people later. But another Melbourne player who I loved was Jacob Windsor. I know that we're a little bit conflicted on
Caleb Windsor, not Jacob Windsor.
My mistake. Caleb Windsor. I always knew he was going to be a good pick, but just his scoring and running at 90% efficiency. This kid can run. This kid can play. And it really felt like he's already a lock in the team, right?
He is, especially with the news that Hunter is still suffering from injury. This guy is absolutely, I think, locked in the side. Now, he had a decent output last week. I did sort of discuss it last week, that I really liked his game against Richmond. Yes, he had some iffy disposals and it wasn't great, but that was one of his knocks coming out of the draft, that he has to improve on his ball use. But he went at 90% efficiency tonight, which is obviously incredible. Hit the scoreboard with 2 ripping goals as well. He does the defensive work. He works hard up and down the ground. I like this kid. He's definitely going to be in their best 22 without a doubt. For me, and I don't know if this is fair or not, but he's got 2 goals to his name and he scored a 77. Only the 11 disposals, so he didn't get his hands on it a lot. A lot of unrewarded running backwards and forwards. That's the issue with the wing, and that's the only role that he's going to play. He's not going to get any time on the ball. He's going to be an exclusive winger, and that for me can mean that I have some nerves in relation to what sort of spike games he can have. If 2 goals only got him a 77, who knows? Maybe it's that lower time on ground because they're giving other people a chance to play. That maybe it means that he actually is capable of a lot more than just that. But if this is the type of output that we're going to see from him on a regular basis, that he needs 2 goals to hit 77, then I worry about how quickly he can make his money for us, being at an elevated price point. We get to see him in round 0, and I think he is locked in the side. And for now, as of tonight, I think he's done enough to tick some boxes.
Yeah, I definitely think so as well. Is there anyone else relevant from Melbourne that we need to talk about?
I was hoping to see more from Bailey Laurie tonight. He had the 73% time on ground, but he just did not do much with it at all. I know he's a lot cheaper than Windsor at 125 the K. But he just didn't do enough, I think, to really stake a claim and cement his. I think his job security isn't great. It was definitely better than Howe's type, who I have not been been talking up at all. But Bailey Laurie, I was sort of hoping that he'd be involved a bit more. He'd sort of worked hard, but a little bit unrewarded, very handball happy compared to kicks. He might be one that I just fade. If there are any other options that present themselves, maybe like a Rawlinson, for example, coming out of West Coast, or the GWS Thomas, who you really like the look of last week. They might take his spot instead, but we'll just have a look and see how they do tomorrow night.
And I think we had Kynan Brown penciled potentially for a spot because he looked quite good in the game before. But obviously, similar to a few of these Carlton players who came on in the second half or in the third and fourth quarter, just didn't play. And obviously, that just shows, like McRae in the game yesterday, that maybe they're not best 22 or fighting for a spot. And they're just here to get some game time, really. So it's a bit disappointing, but at least we see it now.
Correct. Yeah, Kynan Brown's not going to get a call up. And I don't mind if he doesn't get a call up now. If he can play well, show his stuff, he's very talented. He's a very smooth operator. I like this kid as a player, son of a gun. He could be a great downgrade option for us. He's literally a son of a gun. He could be a good downgrade target for us during the course of the season. I think he will get a call up. Melbourne will undoubtedly get injuries, like every team does. Everyone gets injuries. It's a long season, and I wouldn't be surprised if Brown gets a call up later on. I don't think he's going to feature early. He only came on literally within the last quarter to get on, so he is not best 22. And I think that's all of the. I mean, there is Christian Salem, who, as I've mentioned a couple of times, he really impressed playing on the ball in a new role, and he was earmarked for that, and it was to great effect. The guy was a tackling machine today, 9 tackles, which was really impressive. Obviously, that those are free. Well, it's not free points, but you know what I mean. But those are an extra avenue of points that he's added in addition to some good some good kicking inside 50. Set up some goal assists, 23 disposals, which isn't a lot. 23 disposals is absolutely replicable. You can get 20. You can average 23 disposals playing on the ball, no issues. The thing with Salem is that he's at that really awkward price point, which for me would mean that he'd have to be a keeper in that back line, and I'm not sure that he would be. So one to look out for, but at that price point, probably not.
Yeah, for me too. Like at around the 420k mark, I'd rather just let someone else take the risk. If it works out for them, great. If not, not so great. But he's only ever going to be like, let's say 90k more probably than what he is at the moment. So yeah, I'll let him fade it. Looks like Carlton will just head over there for a sec. They really struggled without Walsh and Cripps. You were saying before that, didn't exactly do as much as what people expected.
No, I didn't like Cripps tonight. I was sort of hoping maybe just inside that without Walsh, maybe Cripps becomes more of the man, but I did not like Cripps's game. Hopefully this is just a pre-season thing, but definitely thought he was handball happy. Didn't have the burst to find himself in space. I thought very often every time Cripps was going to get his hands on it, he was all over getting tackled by Christian Salem, for example, or Viney, or someone. Like, nothing came easy for him tonight, and it was just a pracky game. The easiest thing that came his way tonight probably was in that last quarter when he just streamed into an open forward 50 and kicked that goal, which also helped to sort of bolster his score up a little bit. Everything was hard for him, and for that, not a big fan. Only the 60% efficiency, and he scored the 89 Supercoach points. So, yeah, not for me. Even if he didn't have the early buy, obviously you got to consider all the gun players. But with the early buy and that output, for me, I'm putting a line firmly through Cripps' name.
Yeah, hopefully Sam Walsh comes back and kind of alleviates a bit of that pain for them at the moment, which is definitely hurting.
Yeah, I definitely thought there was a good output from others, like a George. I like George Hewitt's game. He was good because he was tagging Viney, and Viney's such a ball magnet that he was also bringing Hewitt around to the ball all the time as well. And you can see that he had the 7 tackles, Georgie boy. I love George as a player. And as soon as Carlton picked him up from the Swans, I knew, oh wow, this is a different Carlton now. They're making shrewd moves, and he was not really spoken much about when he made that move from the Swans to the Blues. But I knew he was going to be really good. The 12 contested possessions at 80% efficiency, which is really impressive, and that's something that George has got. He's a quiet operator. He'll go do his job, tough over the football, and he will hit targets with his hands more often than not. So I liked George's game. I thought he was their best midfielder on the night, without a doubt. And in relation to the back line, I definitely thought a lot of their ball movement was all brought about by Adam Sard. I thought he was by far their best halfbacker / defender on the night.
That's our review of the Carlton and Melbourne game. Hope you guys enjoyed the content. We're going through all of the games for the year. What do you guys think? Did we pick up on some players maybe that we shouldn't have, or our opinions wrong? Let us know down in the comments.
Yeah, if there's any players that you want our opinion on that we didn't speak about tonight, please let us know in the comments down below. Not going hard, obviously not being super critical. It is just a preseason game. We can only say what we saw. And if you liked our take on it, please hit that subscription button, drop a like, and hit that notification bell to not miss out on any of the content that we are pumping out.
Guys, remember, we've got our Supercoach League and our tipping competition for this year. 2 amazing, kind of systems where you guys can win some great prizes. The information for those will be down in the description as well.
And you can make sure you catch us on our live stream every Monday night. We are getting more and more people, and the interaction is just popping off. Come and join us if you haven't before. Some good times are abound and aplenty.
Mate, you got no idea. It's like 3 weeks until preseason's finished. I'm excited. Supercoach is going to start. The AFL season's going to start. Get around us.
Get around us, because we do the hard work so that you don't have to. Bye for now.